Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightbackMedia.com, FightbackMedia.com, and FightbackMediaTV.com. We trust that you are well today because, there's always a lot going on, and it's only Wednesday? Is it only Wednesday? My goodness gracious. If you haven't been to the website lately, there's new stuff on the website, FightbackMedia.com. There's new stuff, and we are revamping FightbackMediaTV.com. That revamping will start next week. You'll start seeing some changes there. It's only Paul and I, so it isn't like we have a whole team of stuff. This is why you are our marketing department. Yes, if you're naked, sitting on a beanbag chair eating a bag of Cheetos, you are part of our marketing department. Yes, you are. So share, if you like this, share it with your friends. Because we learned a long time ago, if you like it, your friends will probably like it too. We appreciate that. Let's get started. Lots of insanity going on, and I'm really of the mind that the insanity is on purpose. Aren't you? Because it's just too ridiculous not to think this is on purpose. There's a California Democrat who had a kind of bizarre response, I think, to a Texas lawmaker. Yeah, California Democrat, Texas lawmaker. Okay, so Texas lawmaker tweets something on Twitter. You don't have to say anything. But these people can't help themselves. They just can't help themselves. We have seen an uptick in the number of drag shows. Okay, drag shows, not like drag racing where two cars get on the drag strip and go really fast for a quarter mile, but drag shows where men dress up as women, not like mom, pop, kettle, but usually highly sexualized, overly done women, massive makeup, the boobs, the whole thing, the skimpy outfits, the whole idea. And then they perform these shows where people sing or do dramatic readings or whatever, tell jokes or whatever. There's a restaurant called Hamburger Mary's that I understand is a drag show themed restaurant. I've never been there, so those of you who have been there can tell us more about it. Just send us an email at fightbackmedia@gmail.com. You can tell us more about it. But it's a drag show themed restaurant. We've seen, and first of all, I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, it may be because of my upbringing. It may be because of my generation. I don't know what it is. It could be any of those or all of those. I don't get the attraction. I don't know why. I don't know why it's funny. I don't know why it's entertaining. I don't know. When Milton Berle, that's my era, dressed up as a woman and did his old drag thing, I didn't think that was funny. People say, well, you're just too closed off. Maybe, but probably not. I don't get it. And the preponderance of these shows, and they're pushing into what we are calling normal life, or they're calling traditional life, is no more apparent than when we start to see these drag queens, these drag performers, at something as wholesome as reading to children at elementary schools, or reading to children at at the library. And I can only think that the presentation of this drag life to small children is set up to normalize it. To normalize the behavior. To normalize being out, to be normalized, the trans thing, the androgyny of it all, is to normalize it. Which I would think would be extremely confusing to a young person, because hell, it's confusing to me. But the idea, I think that if you think that I'm incorrect, fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com. If all you're going to do is call me something phobic, keep that email to yourself. I'm not reading it. But if you've got some other explanation on why the preponderance of this sort of activity, other than normalizing it, let me know. A California Democrat responded to a Texas lawmaker's plan to protect children from drag shows by vowing to introduce legislation that would ostensibly force Drag Queen 101, is what he called it, on K through 12 school children. Drag shows are no place for a child, Texas State Representative Brian Slatton wrote. I would never take my children to a drag show, and I know Speaker of the House Dave Fillon and my Republican colleagues wouldn't either. Today I'll be filing legislation to address this issue in the new Texas legislature. Slatton's comments comes after a number of videos circulated over this past weekend showing parents taking young children to gay bars to watch drag shows, and in some cases even participating in them. I think I saw a little bit on TikTok where they're pretending to go up and down the catwalk. Little boys acting over the top, feminine, with scantily dressed men dressed as scantily dressed women. The events in the past weekend were horrifying and show a disturbing trend which perverted adults are obsessed with sexualizing young children, Slatton said in a statement. But then, California State Senator Scott Wiener, about that name, responded to Slatton's tweet by saying it gave him an idea for a new piece of legislation, offering Drag Queen 101 as part of the K-12 curriculum, said the gay lawmaker who represents, where else? Say it with me, San Francisco. And we'll talk more about San Francisco later in the program. Attending Drag Queen Story Time will satisfy the requirement. Now, while it's really, we don't know if this dude's serious about this or not, but he did introduce a piece of legislation for real a while ago called, was named Senate Bill 145, which would, quote, would exempt from mandatory registration under the Act a person convicted of certain offenses involving minors if the person is not more than 10 years older than the minor. And if that offense is the only one requiring a person to register. So if this is the only offense that's requiring a person to register as a sex offender, and the defendant is not more than 10 years older than the victim, no registration. Go for yourself. So that allows a 19-year-old to participate in inappropriate behavior with an 11-year-old. Right? Yeah, it's 8 years. Or a 20-year-old to participate in illicit behavior with an 11-year-old. That Senate Bill 145 is real. This is the same person. The same guy. Same guy. Barrington Martin III tweeted, "Aren't you the same guy that sponsored the bill that relaxes sex offender registry requirements for sodomy and other acts with minors to, quote, end discrimination against LGBTQ young people on the sex offender registry? You should tread lightly with jokes like this, sir." Yeah. This is what's happening. Which is why, as we are in election season, it seems like we're always in election season. As we are in election season, I keep telling you, participate in the process. Because things can happen, even in a place like San Francisco. and we'll get to that later. All right, again, thank you for coming to the morning report for June 8th, 2022. In 2 days, it's my friend Wendell's birthday. I don't know if he's going to see this or not, and that was only for him. In any case, we'll be back right after these messages. Bloomingdale's Flower Shop is the premier florist in Tampa, offering flower delivery from Brandon to Lutz. Originally opened in 1986, Bloomingdale's Flower Shop has grown to be the florist in Tampa that customers trust most. Our family-owned local flower shop produces flower arrangements with superior design. And we're best known for our same-day flower delivery as well as the selection of special bouquets we've been crafting with love for 30 years. Our main flower shop is in Tampa, located at 11618 North Florida Avenue. Our secondary flower shop is in Newport Richey at 6835 State Road 54. If you want flower delivery in Tampa, give us a call at 813-933-1942 or 800-330-3297. Alrighty, again, welcome back to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightbackMedia.com, 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 and FightbackMediaTV.com. We are thrilled that you are watching and listening to the broadcast this glorious day. It's gorgeous out there. There's some rain coming, but the sun is shining. It's just beautiful. You see all that there? That's the sun, baby. That's the sun. It is hot, and the rain is coming because it's Florida in the summertime. There is evidence that COVID is increasing. The cases are up. Now, you wouldn't really realize it by people's activities. People are continuing to do what they have done before. There is evidence that this resurgence or this continued surge is finally touching the people who didn't get it the first or second time. And so the numbers are up. However, the hospitalizations are not up. The deaths are not up at this point. So COVID is moving out of the consciousness of the American public. Things like gasoline prices, food prices, infant shortages, other things have taken COVID's place at this point. However, we have a story from the FDA that their advisors have okayed Novavax's non-mRNA COVID-19 vaccine. The Food and Drug Administration Advisory Committee has recommended the agency gave a green light to Novavax COVID-19 vaccine, which offers more of a traditional non-mRNA alternative to the Pfizer and Moderna shots. The FDA's Vaccine-Related Biological Products Committee, I'm going to try to say that later, in the acronym for the FDA's Vaccine and Related Biological Products Committee, voted 21-0 with one abstention to recommend the vaccine for emergency use authorization, which is what the others are on to. With the Comirnaty, that one's been approved. The others are still on the emergency use authorization, I believe. The Advisories Committee positive recommendation acknowledges the strength of our data and the importance of a protein-based COVID-19 vaccine developed using an innovative approach to traditional vaccine technology. Novavax's president and CEO Stanley Erck said on Tuesday. We have heard today in today's VRBPAC, wow, that is a rough acronym, meaning significant support for our vaccine from physicians, healthcare organizations, and consumers who are eagerly anticipating a protein-based vaccine option, he added. The data Novavax presented to the committee showed the vaccine was 90% effective in preventing mild and severe COVID 19, although the two large clinical trials were conducted before the Omicron wave. Additionally, the vaccine had a quote reassuring safety profile. The company said, and we don't know what that means. Eric said that there is a market for the company in the U.S. among the tens of millions of people who have not had their primary vaccine for one or another reason. Additionally, other potential markets include children and those who need booster shots. Um, here's what else he said. We do not have a problem with the vaccine uptake that is very serious in the United States, and anything we can do. Excuse me. We do have a problem with the vaccine uptake and the very serious and it's very serious in the United States. And anything we can do to get people more comfortable to be able to accept the potentially life-saving medical products is something that we feel that we are compelled to do, said Dr. Peter Marks, director of the Center for Biological Evaluation and Research. Dr. Eric Rubin, who's the editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine and a member of the VRBPAC, asked in the meeting why there is a need for another COVID-19 vaccine in the United States when there are three that have been authorized or approved from Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson's, and Janssen. The Janssen vaccine currently not being used as a frontline vaccine in the same way that the mRNA vaccines are, which leaves the issue for vaccines for those who might not want to take the mRNA vaccine because of concerns they may have. And we won't hear today, but we're going to put a video up this afternoon or tonight on Rumble that talks about some information that came out on the mRNA vaccines. So you can check that out on Rumble. That won't be here on YouTube. Marks responded referring to the vaccines developed by people I just said. Having and this is what Peter Marks says. He said having a protein-based alternative may be more comfortable for some in the terms of their acceptance of the vaccine. Novavax COVID-19 shot is currently available in more than 40 countries. So this is already out there. I don't know if you'll hear about this any other place than here today. I don't know if you'll hear about this on the news tonight. I don't know whether you'll hear about this in the newspaper or on CNN. I don't know whether you hear about this anywhere. However, now, I've said this, and I'm going to say this to all the YouTube people who are parsing through every word I say about this. Please do what you think is the right thing to do. Talk to your doctor. And and whatever you believe is the right thing to do for you and your family, please do. Please do. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. We really, really need you to, because without you out there, we don't have any views. So I need you to do what you need to do for yourself. All right, we're gonna take a little break. We'll be back with more of the program right after these messages.
Show you how I would deliver this conservative message to the black community. Can I do that real quick? I hear you. I feel you. I get it. Life in your America sucks. Your parents didn't care or weren't there. The schools pushed you out without making sure you can read. Politicians tell you that a brighter tomorrow, so you smoke as much as you can to get through today. You are tired of seeing your brothers, sons, daughters, cousins, your friends killed, imprisoned, or lost to drugs. You want to do the right thing, but all it takes is one time, one mistake for everything to go wrong. And picking yourself up seems impossible because you can't get a job when you have a record. You're sleeping on your mama's couch because you can't afford your own space. You feel unfit to parent your children because your life is so screwed up. What in the hell are you going to teach them? But you are being surrounded by the people that championed your track. They developed your public housing. They took control of your education. They sent your fathers to jail for nonviolent offenses. Made single motherhood cool by calling it feminism. Built the police force through unionization you claim harassed you. And now when you're fed up, they give agitators reign to burn down your state. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If your friends are yelling for death and destruction, do they actually want change? Is that what you live in now? Democrats want to be the party of the poor. In order for that to happen, they have to keep you poor. You always have to fight the oppressor. That will mean you are always oppressed. You call us the party of the rich. And I'm straight out of Stacey South. Well, I had it written down already. We just say like, you call us the party of the rich. And I'm not going to be spineless like those who run from it. I'm not rich, but by the grace of God, I will be. I love money. I love the feeling of security. I love being financially dependent on no one but myself and my husband. I love being able to provide my daughters with Nikes and books, an iPad and robotics camp. It is a great feeling. Now come and eat with us. Come and eat with us. If you are tired of being poor and overlooked, come and eat at a table that believes in ownership and growth. See, we won't begrudge your success because we know that the next dinner is on you.
All right, we're back again. Thank you ever so much for spending some time with us. Sonny Johnson is a real dude. It's a real dude. It's a real deal. She certainly is. And anytime you get to, if you please follow Sonny on Twitter and check her out. You know, one of the things that I'm really happy with that in this journey that we're taking here, that I have a chance to meet and become at least an acquaintance of Sonny Johnson. I can't say that Sonny Johnson and I are friends because, you know what, she lives in one state, I live in another, we don't hang, we're both married to other people, so we're not buddies, you know, we're not fist bumping every other week, but I am so happy that I have become at least an acquaintance of hers, and I just enjoy her take, and I enjoy her energy, and Sonny Johnson is a real dude. I said it again. Sonny Johnson is the real deal. Is the real deal. Along with my friend Shirley Husar, who's a real deal too. All right, we're gonna finish up as I just stumbled over words because I talk for a living. You wouldn't know it, would you? I promise you, we talk about San Francisco. We talked earlier in the first piece we did about a San Francisco lawmaker that is going completely the opposite way of where a lot of us would like to go on drag queens and drag shows. And from San Francisco, you would think, well, you know, that's how they are. There's nothing you can do. It's too far gone. It's just insane. That may or may not be the truth. Most of you know that there was a primary election that finished up last night in a number of states, and California was one of them. And they did something that a lot of us around the country didn't really expect them to be able to do. As California voters turned out to vote in their state's primary elections yesterday, California Governor Gavin Newsom and Senator Alex Padilla handily won over their party's base. And while those two Democrats coasted to partisan victory ahead of the November general election, one of their own in the deep blue Golden State did not fare as well. Progressive Democrat San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin, I believe. Boudin? Is that what it is? Boudin, I think so. Was recalled by some of America's most liberal progressive voters. At his election get-together, Boudin told supporters that there will still be more work to be done. Not sure what that is, but and he'll keep up the fight. I'm not sure what that is either, but he won't be doing it any of that working or fighting as the San Francisco DA. By the time the race was called against the incumbent, more than 60% of the votes counted showed San Francisco residents said yes to the ballot question whether Boudin should be removed from office for his disastrous prosecutorial standards and soft on crime attitude, compared to a slightly less than 40% of people who said no, he should remain in office. As was pointed out earlier, after the race was called, even San Francisco's often, and rightly so, mocked woke had their breaking point when it comes to what they tolerate in their own backyard. And it's always that. And it really is always that. Guy Benson tweets, turns out the appeal of a pro-criminal prosecutors has its limits, even in the cartoonish hotbeds of leftism. Notably, the effort to recall Boudin, while obviously supported by the few brave conservative souls who remain loyal to the city by the Bay, despite its downward trajectory, was backed by several current and former Democrat Party officials in California. Now, Boudin attempted to defend himself by saying this recall effort was put on by the California GOP. California GOP couldn't put on a hot dog roast, let alone an attempt to get rid of the DA in San Francisco. But it was spearheaded by Mitch McConnell, who, again, couldn't put on a hot dog roast, Tom Cotton, and Tucker Carlson, and other conservatives. It was his own party that did him in. The fact is, the San Francisco Democrats put the recall on the ballot with 83,000 signatures. And a recent poll shows that the recall is supported by 64% of San Francisco Democrats, which is about the percentage that said, yes, you got to go. So most of the people who in San Francisco who signed the petition to recall came out and voted to say recall, you're done. As San Francisco's Democrats noted, Nima Rahimi, of course, an executive board member of the California Democrat Party, in an op-ed urging for his removal. As was covered earlier this spring, it became apparent that Boudin was in deep trouble ahead of Tuesday's recall vote. San Francisco had become a living nightmare for most of the residents and business owners. Many are taking matters in their own hands, with stores boarding up their windows and installing steel gates, for example, to protect themselves and their property. While vandalism and theft are rampant, homicides and assaults are up too, according to the San Francisco Police Department Crimes Dashboard. San Francisco is becoming Oakland. Let me editorialize for a second, if I may. It's always been my thought that white progressives are fine with what happens in the hood, as long as it stays in the hood. White progressives are fine with rioting as long as it stays in the hood. They don't want it to come to their neighborhoods. They don't want the rioting. They don't want the disturbance. They don't want the graffiti. They don't want the vandalism. They don't want the crime in their neighborhood. They're perfectly okay if it happens in the hood, because that's just people crying out for justice. The not in my backyard thing in the political left is real, and this recall vote is evidence of it. Despite the fact that Boudin's progressive policies That is letting essentially any criminal off the hook for their crimes in some dystopian social justice free-for-all, took San Francisco streets from bad to worse. He did maintain the support of against the recall by some of the ones who are apparently unwilling to admit that being soft on crime was a mistake. They included the San Francisco Chronicle, of course, because they've got to stay far left. They've got to be a place for the far left to land, a soft place for the far left to land. This is weird to me. The California Nurses Association? Maybe there was some sort of sweetheart deal. I'm not sure. The ACLU of Northern California, of course, and the San Francisco Democrat Party, who had to protect one of their own, literally one of their own, and the Sierra Club, among others, all of which now have slightly more egg on their face than before. Boudin's recall defeat comes as just months after San Francisco residents also voted to recall 3 of the city's ultra-progressive school board members for their woke focus on ending merit-based admissions and renaming schools deemed unwoke, rather than working to reopen schools for kids during COVID-19. The successful recall of Boudin as one of the nation's most progressive prosecutors in one of America's most liberal cities also puts a brighter target on the back of other soft-on-crime district attorneys, such as Los Angeles County DA George Gascon, against whom similar recall attempts is gathering steam. Other cities, like in Philadelphia and New York, find that they have soft on crime policies that are causing all hell to break loose in their cities, and all of them are slightly less left-leaning than San Francisco. There may be pushes to push these people out as well. Now, they're not going to replace them with Sheriff Grady Judd, but it's got to be better than what they have now. All right, we got to get out of here and make room for someone else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.